RK's Guyana Free Media presents for human development and national development this message.
Dearest, beloved, divine friends and families, welcome to this, the RK's Guyana Free Media, another presentation in the Guyana elections 2020, the absolute Guyana madness. Exposition 65. We started from 1, ladies and gentlemen, when I saw the madness at the Ashman's building of the first count and attempt of thievery and fraud of the votes of the Guyanese people in order to steal a nation being led by Lowenfield and Mingo and the others in the GCOM Secretariat. Mass, crass attempt at thievery of a nation, of country, beloved divine friends and families in Guyana and around the world. Underestimating JAGDEO's part of APNU and AFC's downfall. Nigel Hughes by the Guyana Standard, 25th of June 2020. I repeat, Nigel Hughes, famous attorney at law and activist, former of the AFC, the Alliance for Change, and a part of the coalition, speaks on underestimating JAGDEO part of APNU and AFC's downfall. Nigel Hughes, Guyana Standard. One of the most critical mistakes the APNU and AFC faction made upon winning the 2015 general and regional elections was underestimating the political prowess of opposition leader Barra JAGDEO in returning his party to office, says former chairman of the Alliance for Change, AFC, Nigel Hughes. I'll read that again. Sink it in, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most critical mistakes the APNU and AFC faction made upon winning the 2015 general and regional elections was underestimating the political prowess of opposition leader Barra JAGDEO in returning his party to office, says former chairman of the Alliance for Change, AFC, Nigel Hughes. During a recent interview with Guyanese activist Rickford Burke, Hughes pointed out that JAGDEO had transformed into a campaigning machine from the time his party lost the elections, while the coalition got comfortable in its new place of power. The loyal strength that JAGDEO knew that he had to return to restore confidence in the PPP support base, and that he did. Ladies and gentlemen, the PPPC got too comfortable after 20 to 23 years in power. Some of them begin to forget the people are the greatest assets. And they were taught a lesson by the people. And the vast majority of that was through Nagamotu and Ramjatan in the quarantine, the upper quarantine votes. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, the APNU AFC made a huge tactical error, according to Hughes, that they underestimated the prowess of the man, the skills, the drive, the force, the spirit, the universal power that energizes Dr. Barra JAGDEO. Like him or hate him, he is being guided by the universe to achieve what is necessary. And he outfoxed the brigadier, the military giant himself, outfoxed him, and the whole APNU AFC. But why? Because they became too content. They became too caught in trying to realize personal wealth for themselves. And I don't believe this refers to His Excellency President, still President caretaker mode, but he's the President, David Arthur Granger. Refers to the others, the warlord, The warlord who decides who gets a national award, who gets an appointment, who gets anything to serve people or the country, who gets and who loses a contract before they could start. The warlord and his team of acolytes and his team of coyotes, ladies and gentlemen. But these are my personal views. These are not the views that I'm speaking now of Nigel Hughes. But he is sharing some of the same sentiments. They became too comfortable. Ladies and gentlemen, the APNU+AFC forgot the people. And they got hot only a few months before the elections. The die was cast. The damage was created. The hate was set. The pain was severe on the people. Their own supporters in certain parts of Georgetown and Region 4, their own supporters stayed home. Many told me they had to teach them a lesson, and they voted for the PPPC because the PPPC was able to galvanize a number of Afro-Guyanese youths and dynamos within themselves, and was able to get their families and their friends to vote for them. This is the secret. APNU+AFC. I wrote the president. I suggested certain things. I'm going to say it again, and book will be on the wall. How to win friends and influence people. I wrote the president privately, and he replied to me, ladies and gentlemen. I said it in the newspapers to all the politicians. Learn to read this book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'll put it over here too for you. How to win friends and influence people. They didn't know how to win friends and influence. The power was too much. One of them even turned and said, when the people were annoyed at the 50% increase they were giving us themselves on the second day of taking power, we have no apologies to make. So powerful they were almost instantaneously when they took power, my divine friends, brothers and sisters in the fraternity of religions and the concourse of humanity in Guyana and around the world. They betrayed the people. They forgot the people. One of the mistakes I think His Excellency the President made, he doesn't like to socialize too much. He doesn't go out and meet the people. He didn't touch their flesh. He didn't brush and rub their shoulders. He didn't hug babies and kiss and play with them. These are some of the causes of the downfall. They forgot the people and expected loyalty by ethnicity. And then the AFC could not have brought in what they did in 2015 because Nagamutu betrayed the people in the upper quarantine. He betrayed the people with the closing down of the sugar industry. And the whole government made a grotesque mistake, causing the loss of hundreds of billions of dollars in value of the sugar estates. By closing it down, they can't sell it. It now becomes scrap. The machinery has stopped. For hundreds of years we have been manufacturing sugar right there, and they never stopped. And they stopped it. And it's all now rotting and rusting and turned scraps. A steel, ladies and gentlemen. I told them they could have turned it into soap factory, coconut processing, fish processing, open up fish plants and fish farms, and you already had the canals. Give it to people or share it with people. Only when the election time was coming the last week, he said, President Brave Granger, man, a man generally that I liked, he said, we will give you the the sugar workers' lands. Realization stepped in when the election was right next door. The die was cast. The damage was done, friends and families, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why they became too comfortable. Some of them seeking only deals where they can get their percentage and how they could turn business people. With the two-lettered business magnate and partners, and how many contracts they can give their friends so they could draw down and eke everything out for themselves. Even in security services, they're so gluttonous that they want, with all that they have, they even want that little security service that some of us survive on. They're tendering for that as well, hoping to use skullduggery to their friends to get that, when that warlord already has his own security company and companies, ladies and gentlemen, friends and families around the world. And back to the article. Hughes said, and he realized that his base had abandoned him. Whether the PPP have become too arrogant, whether they have been there too long, and he went straight to work. He was talking here, commentary, about JAGDEO, that the PPP got abandoned by some of their people, and that happened. This is where the AFC became strong, and they promised sugar. Nagamoto said, sugar was too big to fall. As a matter of fact, they will get a 20% increase. And what they got? Destruction, suicide, pain, shame, hurt, degradation. They couldn't send their children to school. Immorality stepped in. More alcoholism. People making bushram to sell and drink. PPP, he said, became too arrogant. Those are for the APNU+AFC. Back to the article. He's saying here, they have become too arrogant, and that's true. I was very annoyed with the PPPC. I abused them publicly. I owe no debt to no one. No one ever did anything to me of any government. And now that I'm retired, make it better yet. I owe no one nothing. I can blows them left, right and center, my beloved divine friends and families. And the PPP became arrogant. Whether they've been there too long. One minister, I got someone to come into the country from the Universal Peace Federation to train teachers and masters in character education. And the minister secretary is telling me you gotta write a letter in an email, and within 2 weeks we'll give you a reply. And the man came in for 3 days in the country. We lost the opportunity because the Minister of Education, I'll tell you who, Sheikh Baksh, he was too big here. He got too gluttonous with his appointment, and the PPP suffered from that. The people left them. People went otherwise, and some, like what they did to the APNU+AFC here with their supporters, they stayed home. They stayed home, some in the quarantine, and they told me, and they drink rum. And they didn't vote. And some told me about the APNU+AFC. I stayed home because they didn't deserve, ladies and gentlemen, their votes. Back to the article. The PPP did become arrogant, and this is what happened to the APNU+AFC. People start to lose respect also, my personal commentary, on Ramjatan. Because of the games and the lies and the tricks, and Nagamutu and the games and the lies and the tricks, and the two of them fighting for the prime ministerial candidateship of the APNU+AFC, and that way is where Ramjatan caused the APNU to lose some more votes because people didn't like him. They said they don't like his face, his mouth when he speaks. I'm not saying these things. The people are saying so, ladies and gentlemen. And this is my commentary as a commentator. They don't like Ramjatan's mouth. They preferred Moses Nagamutu. But Ramjatan went on a skullduggery of trickery to win the nomination as leader of the AFC. And even sabotaged the APNU that they will pull off. Imagine that. They will pull off of the coalition unless he is allowed to be the APNU representative, AFC representative as the prime ministerial candidate. That is the cabal that you're dealing with. All they cared about is the sound of the siren. Feeling great that they have driver and outriders and men with machine gun protecting them. And they can eat fat and have opportunities for their friends and their families. And eat and drink more and eat and drink more. That is where they became too fat. And the APNU had some people there, warlords, who were more concerned about themselves and their families and what they can make and not about the people. 2 years ago when they had the local government elections, I mentioned this again. The people gave them a sound trashing. The PPP wiped them out. They didn't listen. When they listened? A few months before the elections. And the people give them a trashing again. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, I go on to Nigel Hughes. The PPP have become too arrogant. Whether they have been in power too long. And he went straight to work. They didn't That didn't happen on the other side, that is the APNU+AFC, and I don't think that the level of dedication and work on the part of the APNU and AFC existed. I'm adding the word existed to the article. As a result, Hughes, and a very competent and elegant gentleman and attorney at law, as a result, Hughes alluded to the fact that the government was unable to replicate the victory it got 5 years ago in the 2020 elections. In this regard, he said, and if you don't put in the work, you can't get the results. So tell me, ladies and gentlemen, like Gaskin, very diplomatically and brilliant, as this powerful man is saying, is he not conceding that the PPPC won the election? Is he not conceding? To my view, he is. He has. But you have to read well the brilliance of the man to get his knowledge of what he's trying to share, friends and families. And back to the article. Further to this, the former AFC chairman hinted that the coalition may have wittingly or unwittingly underestimated JAGDEO's no confidence motion that was passed on December 21st, 2019. You got to be real thoughtless person to believe that the person like JAGDEO with his political skill is going to bring a vote of no confidence, and you don't think that there is a chance that he's going to win? They were lambasting that they were going to win. What he is saying, my commentary, Nigel Hughes, if he bring that in Parliament, you don't think the man knew he was going to win? They didn't understand that? And is it any wonder though, they have some feeling they're terrified of this guy. They're terrified of JAGDEO, this is why they wanted him out. They did all kinds of things to him. They're encouraging the people not to vote for him, not to bring him in as the General Secretary. They knew. But Nigel Hughes is asking them, wake up and smell your coffee. In other words, didn't you know if he's going for NCM, he knew he was going to win? And you don't start doing your own internal work? The lawyer added. That's Nigel Hughes. Hughes said that another mistake the coalition made was failing to return to its supporters after winning the elections and thanking them personally for their sacrifices. They became too big. The leader and leaders didn't like to go out and kiss babies, sit with the people in a bottom house, do a bush cook with the people in communities, go and motivate and encourage. They were enjoying the fruits of the position. They were enjoying the fruits of what the power could have drawn and eked out to them and their families, and they're putting the wealth in Guyana and around the world in their family's name as if the United States government don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going and trying to change and hide the money. Them and other people, the big contractors, the biggest magnate, who is an ally, who is an alliance of the group, and particularly the warlord. And they are trying to hide the money in the United States as if the people don't know what they're doing, and they probably got their eye just to clamp it down. I think it's only a matter of days before that happens. I hope not. I really don't want sanctions for my country. They failed to go and thank the people. They were enriching themselves instead. They were getting fat on the power and the wealth. And they were denying and destroying lives of people that they didn't like for some reason. Instead, that the people that you don't like or you think didn't support you, to win their hearts. Go and win it. You're already my friends. I know you guys are going to vote for me ethnically alone. You're my own race. You're going to vote for me. But the other side, win them over. What you say, operator?
True.
Win them over. Treat them nice. Give them facilities and benefits. Win their heart. Make them eat from your hands. You guys should hire me as your PR officer or your tactical person. But instead what you did, you isolated me, you denied me what were mine, you terminated my contract before I could have started, even if I got it through the legal, proper cabinet. The secret cabinet tried to destroy me. You tried to destroy my life. You think I will embrace you? But I'm still being fair. All I'm doing here is giving a commentary and reading articles by others. Be on the lookout, ladies and gentlemen, the others coming up very soon. Freddie KISSOON. 2 more coming up from Freddie KISSOON. Be prepared. He's talking about Mr. Lolo. I don't know what is that. I have to study. But now when he's talking about Lolo, who is Lolo or what is Lolo? The APNU failed to go out and thank their people. They were giving opportunities, wealth, guns by the tens of dozens to their friends and their families, and became partners in security services and so on and everything, and they were sucking the wealth of the nation. They forgot the ordinary working people who are the true bosses. It's not only the money of the big shots that help you, but, ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, the vote of the ordinary common man that you, the APNU+AFC, sadly forgot. You failed to thank them. He said, indeed, the citizenry expected a different way of doing business. But we have reverted to exactly the same way we conduct politics as we did in the 60s. Pure race. Pure, they did not cross the threshold. They did not cross the race barrier to win the hearts and minds of the others. They tried to use Nagamutu, who said, sugar is too big to fail. Rice will give you $9,000 per bag. And then when the elections were finished, you rice farmers, you're on your own, you have to find your own markets. The gold and diamond producers were abundant, 60% have left the gold fields. Rice producers has given up, many of them. The cane farmers private have had to abandon their lands. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, this gentleman of scholarship and honor is saying the citizenry expected a different way of doing business, but we have reverted to exactly the same way we conduct politics as we did in the 60s, pure race.
Okay.
Dearest friends and family, me, your friend, your brother, Haji, Dr. Rushin Khan, commenting through this, the RK's Guyana Free Media, the second installment of this production. RK's Guyana Free Media, bringing information, articles and newspapers on the Guyana election for your information, and invite and share, please, ladies and gentlemen, so people may know what is going on. Invite and share. Taken from the KAIETEUR News, June 26, 2020, never in Guyana's history has a diplomat been so personally insulted by a politician. By one of my favorite writers now, an analyst, Freddie KISSOON, a man who deserves a national award, Government of Guyana. The new government, when you take power, do not abandon him. He will blows you, but use him as a stepping stone to success. Listen to him. Don't abandon him, don't abuse him, don't boycott him, don't try to destroy him. Give him a national award for journalism and for political commentary instead. Learn to win friends and influence people. Apologize to his wife. Offer her another job, a similar high-paying job for a lady of elegance. She is a lady of elegance. He always say he's lucky. He's lucky. Freddie KISSOON, he's lucky to have had such a woman and who would follow him from Canada back to Guyana. He is fortunate. Freddie, you say you don't watch Facebook, but I think you do. Do you deserve her? Mrs. KISSOON, I spoke to you once and you had one but the heart in respect. Absolutely. One time only I spoke to you. What an elegant lady you were for going west. And what they did to you, I spoke out against it. But what they did to you was inhuman. I hope they can try to make up. It's never too late. PPPC, listen to my words. To the article, when Priya Manik Chand confronted the US ambassador in 2014, says FREDDIE KISSOON, she broke protocol as a politician, but her remarks were political. She criticized US foreign policy, but she criticized US foreign policy. What Sheriff Duncan did a few days ago ought to result in immediate cancellation of his visa and those of the leadership of the AFC by every friendly country, including our own CARICOM region. They need to be banned, ladies and gentlemen. Sheriff Duncan, I didn't know he was an opportunist. He has entered into the realm of dirty politics. A commentary for me, ladies and gentlemen. The words you hear this man use. Why? Because he has been politically appointed as the general manager of the Chronicle. And he sold his soul. He has become a hen-picked politician of evil standards, who have descended into nastiness and profound conspiracies of deceit. Lincoln, who was my friend, our superhero at one time. And they gave him a job. And he became quiet, and he's driving a $20 million vehicle from his bicycle that he used to ride. And he spent millions of dollars fortifying his offices of the money of Chronicle, or by the money of Chronicle. He was fired and then re-employed. And he is fighting for life. And here is the words of the man describing a diplomat. Back to the article from FREDDIE KISSOON. Mr. Duncan, appearing on a public forum with Christopher Jones, said something personally repugnant about the British High Commissioner that should never be uttered by a politician of the ruling party. A ruling politician just does not say those things about a diplomat who belongs to a country that is an extremely close ally. Commentary. Not only an ally, but a donor and an educator for us, a supporter of us in so many ways. And our mother country, our original country from whom we got independence, who watches over us still. Even if it was an opposition politician, still it would be an immoral action. The host country cannot treat a diplomat like that. Mr. Duncan is an executive member of the Alliance for Change and a ministerial spokesman for Kemaraj Ramachatan at the Public Security. I think, ladies and gentlemen, the commentary, the entire AFC, including Moses and Ramjatan, need to have their visa cancelled with immediate effect. And if it's a green card, put it in suspension at least for a while to teach them a lesson. Back to the article. I have always had a healthy friendly relation with Christopher Jones. I have always advised Jones that he has a future in politics, and he must acquire university education if he is going to climb the ladder. It was Jones who facilitated me to have my dog walk on the vast parapet of the aquatic center. I remember a night I didn't have my pass, and the security said he was instructed not to let anyone in without the pass. Jones left what he was doing and came down to the center himself to facilitate me. I saw him as one for the future. He has a far better standing among the Guyanese people than Duncan, and I believe is little regarded in Guyana. I repeat that piece, ladies and gentlemen, because I might have gotten lost in the style of reading. He has a far better standing among the Guyanese people than Duncan, who I believe is little regarded in Guyana. There, I got it now, and you, friends and families. I watched as Duncan said nasty personal things about the High Commissioner, and immediately thought that Jones would upbraid Duncan, but he didn't. A commentary. It seems that for Jones, Christopher Jones, the university did nothing to him. What did he study? He didn't. The CARICOM foreign ministries, the Indian, the EU, the British, the Canadian, the Argentine, the Chilean, the Chinese, the Mexican diplomats, and all the diplomatic missions in this country should now move to cancel the visa of Duncan and his AFC colleagues. And ladies and gentlemen, friends and families and diplomats who listen to me and my friends who are diplomats, I concur with Freddie KISSOON. It is interesting to see what will be the reaction of the President Granger. He has lost the election, but legally he is still the caretaker president as pronounced on by the Caribbean Court of Justice. He has a moral obligation to the norms of international diplomatic behavior to dismiss preemptorily Duncan from governmental service. An apology from Duncan should not suffice. Mr. Duncan should suffer visa consequences. He went too far. Such personal attacks never happened in British Guyana and independent Guyana. If it was President Hoyt, Duncan would have been removed within minutes. Chatty Jaggers would never have tolerated a high-level government functionary saying such personal things about a High Commissioner. Friends and families, ladies and gentlemen, I recall so serious a man Desmond Hoyt is when he was travelling in Guyana Airways and they brought a whole set of fancy, luscious liquor to him. He fired the general manager. He fired them. Why are they bringing liquor to him and spending the taxpayers' money on alcohol for him? Hoyt would have done the same thing to Duncan. Obviously, Duncan has to know that within weeks his party is gone from power, never to have power again. And a commentary, I don't think the APNU+AFC can ever come to power for at least 100 years. Why? The PPPC, especially this guy, Dr. Irfan Ali, President-in-waiting, he knows how to do things and he knows how to win hearts. He is going to penetrate with his team and his supporters that were former PNC supporters to penetrate the communities and find out what they want and fix the roads and the waters and the lights and build houses for those in the streets and use the oil and gas money to help people with homes and cheap loans and schools and refund that, only make it $10,000 per child that soon as they took power they took away. My commentary, ladies and gentlemen, soon as they took power they took away from the poor and left them in confusion because they've gotten accustomed to it. The then president might make it $25,000 per child. He might even eventually make it $50,000. What you will do with the money? Put it in a account to steal, as was being done to our Exxon $18 million that was given to us, which is very minuscule compared to other countries, and which they should have negotiated more, and they were hiding it to steal it, and they denied that they ever had it. Ladies and gentlemen, Irfan Ali, I think, would use that money to help the depressed communities in the various areas of Georgetown and Guyana, eliminate squatting areas and give them proper places, using our own money to help our people, not to create laziness, but to help people raise from poverty. Back to his article, never to return to power again. I am absolutely sure there will be another APNU+AFC regime in Guyana. I beg your pardon. Freddie KISSOON is saying, I am absolutely sure there will never be another APNU+AFC regime in Guyana. I seem to concur with that. I seem to concur with that, with what's going on now. Not because I'm biased like him. He's not biased for nobody. If they went to the PPPC government, you will see what he's going to do to them. And you will see what I will do with them. You will see what I will do with the PPPC when they do their nonsense and betray the people. Back to the article. They say life is unpredictable, but I cannot see the future existence of the AFC. And I doubt another I doubt whether the PNC can win another national election in 20 years from now. I say maybe 100. 100, ladies and gentlemen. Because they will not, PPPC will not make the mistakes they did. This is my assessment, not my wish. Obviously, Duncan knows that he will have to face the consequences of his action, and he will not be a ministerial aide when that time comes, because there will not be an APNU and AFC government. Obviously, Duncan has to know that even if there isn't an official visa sanction in the coming days, he will be blacklisted by ABCE countries if and when he applies for a visa. Duncan should go back and read up on the Malik Chand incident, and as unpleasant as it was, she never said anything personal about the character of the US ambassador. A commentary, she spoke about policies of politics as it refers to the US government. She never made any personal attack on anyone. Back to the article. Former Prime Ministers Bruce Golding and Owen Arthur have been viciously attacked by the APNU+AFC and leaders, but the nastiness has been confined to political descriptions. P. Ralph Gonzalez of St. Vincent and Mia Motley of Barbados have now come in for demonic denunciations from APNU and AFC leaders. But again, the chastisements exist in the political sphere. Duncan's action was ugly, according to Freddie KISSOON, hateful and insane. Decent persons in the AFC should immediately come out and condemn him. Failure to do so makes them equally uncivilized. The APNU and AFC first, second and third tier leaders are in self-destruction mode. They are engaged in horrible misconduct for which they should be made to pay a high price. They have lowered civilization in Guyana. They must be sanctioned. Freddie KISSOON. Ladies and gentlemen, before they pull themselves up, offer some apologies, or stay quiet, go in a corner, they are fighting tooth and nail to make it appear as if what they're doing will change the scheme of things. And the writings on the wall, which Freddie KISSOON declares is a PPPC victory, and as the CARICOM has declared. And my operator will probably put on top there, PPPC victory, congratulations, President-elect Mr. Dr. Irfan Ali. My friends and families. Now for the third part of this presentation. Dearest beloved divine friends and families, here we go now, part 3 of this part 65 of RK's Guyana Free Media presentation on the Guyana absolute election madness. Guyana goes mad election-wise. Taken from KAIETEUR News, June 25th, 2020, by Freddie KISSOON. Lolo playing his stereo low while the world watches him, by Freddie KISSOON. Lolo, I don't know what is that, so let's see what he's talking about. And I'm merely a commentator without any political bias, friends and family. But because I say certain things and I comment on certain things, people might judge me as being politically biased, but I am not. Freddie KISSOON writes, my belief is that the CCJ will rule against APNU and AFC. I don't know what orders have been asked for. If the CCJ upholds the PPC's request, then we return to the position before the intervention of the Court of Appeal, meaning that GCOM has to consider the current report of Lowenfield. The lawyers for the opposition parties could also ask the court for certain orders, of which could include compelling GCOM to accept the recount based on the CARICOM report. One thing is certain, absolutely definite and scientifically conclusive. If Claudine Singh accepts the current submission of Lowenfield, then Guyana will face terrible consequences from disapproving international forces. What Lowenfield submitted is only found in comic books. Powerful countries will consider the acceptance of the Lowenfield document a grotesque insult to international norms guiding democracy and a personal affront, and thus will not constitute or continue to do business with Guyana. Once Singh votes in a 4 versus 3 formula for the Lowenfield report, the world will reject the Granger presidency. The Lowenfield account of the 2020 election is so incredibly gruesome and horribly grotesque that no influential government that is friendly with Guyana will accept a Granger presidency. Still President Granger, you know, man. He's President Granger. After what Barbadian Prime Minister Mia Mottley said yesterday, it is clear that she will not be one of the CARICOM countries to recognize the Granger presidency. It is definite another CARICOM state, St. Vincent, will not accept Granger as the president of Guyana. Mottley asked a question that Singh will find impossible to answer. Who gave Lowenfield the right to dissolve 115,000 votes? Commentary. No courts. Not the chairman. None of them have the authority. Lowenfield and his own capacity as king, lord, jury, investigator, prosecutor, and executioner, he executed 115,000 people votes from Guyana. Here is the answer to that question. Freddie is talking. In each region is a national election. In each region in the national election there is a returning officer and a deputy returning officer. When each RO submits his or her report, the chief election officer, CEO, can only change those numbers based on investigation and resulting evidence. I repeat, the chief election officer, CEO, can only change those numbers based on investigation and resulting evidence. So the CEO takes away 1,000 votes from Xanadu School in Region 1. He is giving us an example, alright? So don't get excited. So the CEO takes away 100 votes from Xanadu School in Region 1. 400 in Manadu School in Region 2. And 500 in Kanadu School in Region 3 by you know, Freddie, you're something, man. You're really good in these words and this style of writing. You're amazing, man. I salute you. This is a total of 1,000 votes the CEO has rejected. But he can only do so after consulting with the ROs. And those 3 ROs and those 3 regions and showing them the evidence. But he can only do so, repeating, he can only do so after consulting with the ROs in those 3 regions and showing them the evidence he has that 1,000 votes were fictional. What Singh has to demand from Lowenfield, irrespective of what is going on in the CCJ, because it is her obligation as chairperson, is to ask Lowenfield why he scrapped 115,000 votes. And where is the corroborating evidence from the ROs and the DROs? What will take place in the CCJ on Wednesday has no bearing on what Singh has to do. She has the CEO's tabulation in front of her that differs immensely from the recount certified as certified by the CARICOM recount team. She has to demand an explanation. Why is the chairman quiet? What has happened to the chairman? Recall at the first count, ladies and gentlemen, commentary from me. She disappeared in the building and was inaccessible and then disappeared for another few days. Something doesn't seem kosher and very questionable here, and she is putting herself into trouble and into questions. She has to demand an explanation. A good example is the votes for the joint list team of a new and united Guyana, ANOC, the Liberty and Justice Party, LJP, and the new movement, TMN. The CARICOM supervised recount team came up with about 5,000 votes. In the current report by Lowenfield, they got about 3,000 votes. How did these 2,000 votes vanish? I repeat, the CARICOM supervised recon team came up with about 5,000 votes for that grouping called A New and United Guyana, ANOG, the Liberty and Justice Party, LJP, and the New Movement. CARICOM supervised recon team came up with 5,000 votes. In the current report by Lowenfield, they got only 3,000. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened to that 3,000? How did these 2,000 votes vanish? These are the questions Singh must ask as soon as possible. From Lowenfield, it is stupid for any lawyer, academic, politician and educated person to think that you have an elected commission and it must accept the report of a chief elections officer, and legally there is no way that his report can be refused. I mean, my commentary is silly. It's ludicrous. Back to the article. It means then that elections are essentially a process that has no meaning, and the only meaning given to it is by the chief elections officer. If Granger thinks that the CEO's report is final and cannot be rejected even though it conflicts with the CARICOM team he invited, and whose professionalism he told Guyanese he recognizes, that not only the term sanctimonious gangster is appropriate when applied to him, but he's a basic fool. No, harsh words. I'll read again. If Granger thinks, President Granger please, thinks that the CEO report is final and cannot be rejected even though it conflicts with the CARICOM team he invited, and whose professionalism he told Guyanese he recognizes, remember he was for commentary, as the legitimate interlocutor. President Granger said CARICOM is the legitimate interlocutor when he abandoned all the other people around the world that wanted to come. We also had a semblance of personalities from the OAS and also from the EU who were stationed here. The rest were not allowed to come in. The Carter Center was completely banned. If Granger thinks that the CEO report is final and cannot be rejected even though it conflicts with the CARICOM team he invited, and whose professionalism he told Guyanese he recognizes because he called him the legitimate interlocutor, my addition, that not only the term sanctimonious gangster, words from Freddie KISSOON, not me, is appropriate when applied to him, but he is a basic fool. Freddie KISSOON speaks. Lowenfield has reduced Guyana, Granger, the PNC, and the AFC to clowns. You can tell by the tone of Motley that she thinks that the election masquerade here has embarrassed the CARICOM region when she said, "It is not our finest moment." I repeat, for emphasis, my repetition, it is not our finest moment. Lowenfield has now emerged as one of the most detestable citizens the world has produced. But he is also one of the silliest humans the world gave birth to. This man does the grisliest things and believes the world will accept them. He wanted 5 months to recount 400,000 ballots. Imagine this man. He wanted 5 months to recount 4,000 ballots, ladies and gentlemen, which we did in just a month. I was part of the observer team in the count. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, my commentary. Don't you see that he, Lowenfield, is the sanctimonious gangster? Don't you see he is a master in skullduggery and thievery, deceit, lies and cheat, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care about sanctions. He doesn't care about his visa or his citizenship or whatever he has from the United States of America. He only cares there, as far as I'm concerned, it is ethnicity, ladies and gentlemen. It's sad, but it has to be sheer, absolute ethnic priority not the work of a professional statesman in a position of trust and power. Recall, at the same time, he was saying every 2 hours a face mask has to be produced. They had to get how many hundreds of thousands of face masks, and not even one was ever changed for an entire day. Everything he could have done to delay the vote, to delay and to keep the current government in power. From all that's going on as a commentator, I speak, ladies and gentlemen, not in any way biased for or against the political entity. I'm speaking truth and justice. Cost it what it will, do what they want. I fear nothing else but my God and His universe. Now, back to the article, according to Freddie KISSOON. He has taken away 115 votes from an election with just the stroke of a pen. He executed 115,000 votes from voters and citizens of this country from an election with just the stroke of a pen. Lolo, Freddie KISSOON speaks, has stooped far too low to do his thing. He will be subject of a criminal investigation for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, my commentary, I'm prepared to put my name and to lend whatever support I can to this, whoever is bringing this forward, and to even take the case to court in my name for private criminal action if it's needed, if the police is not cooperating. Friends and families, Guyana is at the crossroads. Guyana is in destruction mode. Compliments of Lowenfield and the APNU+AFC, sad to say. Guyana is breaking apart. Guyana is falling apart. Guyana has become a disgrace in the Caribbean. I'm ashamed to go to Trinidad. A man who is even convicted of murder in Suriname has conceded defeat to the champion in Suriname. Within days, we are now in our 4th month, and Guyana is floating in an ocean of filth, perpetuated, ladies and gentlemen, by Lowenfield and his dirty, deceitful, dishonest group. And sadly, I'm ashamed to say, by the AFC, the APNU and the AFC. Oh no, I'm ashamed to say, the APNU, not the AFC. I don't include them in anything. The APNU. I'm ashamed that the APNU cannot come out. And I'm disappointed that the president cannot come out and stand and say, regardless of what they're telling him, the power brokers, that he can win by a technicality. Does he want to win by technicality or by votes of the people? Friends and families, appeal to His Excellency President David R. Granger. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for glory. Stand up for what is good for you, sir. Time is of essence. Calculate the age. I'm doing mine too. I ask you, calculate your age. How much more longer will we live to enjoy devilish sweet and fruits? And to the warlord and his team and his cabal, how long will they continue to suck the resources out of Guyana? Your friend, your brother, me, Haj Dr. Ocean Khan, saying thank you and farewell, friends. Share and like. Invite. Share and invite. Peace and blessing.